All right, good morning. Who are the PDs this morning? Who are the public defense? I just need the information. Mr. Osteen, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. That'll be myself, Angela Dotis, and attorney Mike McLean. I believe Derek Howard will be joining us, or there he is, to handle the females at ACDC.
Okay, do we have the sheet in which you all are proceeding, or should I just ask accordingly?
Good morning, Judge Law. Mr. Jordan said he just sent you that paperwork over.
Okay, just give me a moment.
Let's see, Jimmy, let's put 0.3 of a second on the clock. Go. That's right. It's the two black guys. But
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we're going to begin with the state all-purpose calendar for today, April 11th, 2023. This is a list of misdemeanor criminal cases in which individuals have been already accused and addressed at an initial appearance with the judge. Bonds have been set, and some of the individuals have still remained at the Folsom County Jail while they still have a bond. If you are a defendant, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of your case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, we have counsel from the Public Defender's Office or the conflict defense list to represent you. Matters we're going to be addressing are possible plea hearings, arraignments, as well as any bond modifications that may have to be addressed. Mr. Dotis, good morning. And who is seated beside you?
This is position number 1, Your Honor.
Okay.
Andre Anderson.
Thank you. This is going to be a negotiated plea hearing. Mr. Anderson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. And your attorney is Mr. Dotis. Mr. Dotis, is this a negotiated plea?
Yes, Your Honor. This is a negotiated plea, and we do stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for the purpose of this plea. I will note, I'm not sure if it was a typo, but on the offer, it stated balance probated, but no conditions. So we would just ask it to be worded as balance suspended instead.
All right, thank you. Mr. Anderson, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Young, what are the terms?
Yes, Judge. The plea recommendation from the state in this case is 12 months served, 22 days credit for time served, 11 days with the balance probated, and stay away from the incident location.
Did you intend the defendant to be on probation, or was it just time served? Because if it's balance probated, then he'll be reporting to probation, but without requiring to complete any conditions.
That's correct.
All right. So then it will be balance suspended. Thank you. And Mr. Dotis, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
I do stipulate to the three elements, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you accepted the terms as indicated by the prosecutor?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to take this plea?
No, ma'am.
In taking this plea, you will have to give up your constitutional rights, the rights that your attorney has gone over with you. Have you understood that conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that you won't have a trial, you won't be able to confront your accuser, you won't be able to have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes,
Correct?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead? To one count of theft by shoplifting, giving false, giving false information to an officer, and possession and use of drug-related objects.
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 22 days. The 11 days at jail would be completing your sentence. This case is now closed as balance suspended. Mr. Anderson, you have to stay away from the incident location. If you return there, you will be arrested again, and we get to do this all over again. Wouldn't that be fun?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, Your Honor, we have position number 3, Mr. Fred Ball. That's it. Get up.
Position number 3 is Mr. Dotis' case. Is also a negotiated plea. And this is a Fred Ball accused of obstruction and loitering or prowling, case number 22 CR 003572A. Mr. Ball, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Dotis. And could you please raise your right hand?
Okay.
You solemnly swear the information you provide for testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Young, what's the recommendation for Mr. Ball?
State's recommendation in this case is 12 months served, 30 days credit for time served, 16 days the balance probated, and stay away from the incident location.
Did you mean balance suspended? Same issue as Mr. Anderson's case.
Okay. ASG Walker had put the plea records balance probated.
I'm not gonna send them. Tell them to leave that email.
I'm going to keep it as balance suspended.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Dotis, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, I do stipulate to the three elements for the purpose of this plea.
Mr. Ball, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to plead guilty to these charges, you will have to give up your constitutional right to a trial, to confront your accuser, have the ability to challenge the state's evidence, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to obstruction of an officer and loitering or prowling?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 16 days. Your 16 days in jail would have satisfied the case and balance is suspended. If you return to the location from where you were arrested, well, you get to come back again. Thank you.
That's what I feel.
Good morning, Your Honor. Next is Ms. Bowden, position 5 and 6. And I do have an announcement,
Yes.
Your Honor. Position 40, Ms. Warner. I would like to have that reset.
On what grounds? Is it a medical reset? Behavior reset? What are we talking about?
Behavior, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Position 5 and 6 is Ms. Donna Bowden, case number 22 CR 006187E, accused of simple battery. And that was position 5, excuse me. Position 6 is 23 FTA 000280. That is a case indicating that a bench warrant was issued for Ms. Bowden's failure to appear. We are going to be addressing position 5, and if the plea is accepted, then position 6 will be null prost. Ms. Bowden, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Mr. Derek Howard. And good morning, Mr. Howard.
Good morning, Judge.
All right. And Mr. Young, what is the recommendation for position 5?
It is 12 months served, 30 days, the balance suspended, and credit for time served. 1 day, stay away from the incident location.
Okay, I've got a different thing. I've got 12 months to complete a FVIP 40 hours community service. This is position 5, Donna Bowden.
Okay, that's what I
You
have
may-
on the other worksheet. I'm sorry. It's 12 months probation, family violence intervention program, 40 hours community service, no further contact with the victim, and stay away from the incident location.
Excuse me, can we state what the incident location is when you all are reading out what, the stay away, please?
All right, Ms. Strong, Mr. Young, excuse me. All right.
The incident location is 9995 Old Dogwood Road in Roswell.
What? Never even been there.
All
Okay,
right, all right.
Is this even me you're looking at? Donna
Yeah,
Bowden?
yeah. Are you Donna Bowden?
I am, but I've never even
Okay.
been to that location.
All right, give me a moment, okay?
Yes.
give me a moment,
Thank
let me check.
This is Donna Bowden, position number 5, and this was an accusation that was issued on September 14th, 2022. And this
And I
is
was-
involving one Randall Taylor. All right, and Ms. Bowden, I would recommend that you don't say anything right now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there was.
I'm
Good
trying
morning, Your
to
Honor.
pull up the report and track it.
looks like it's-
exactly.
388 Bishop Road in South Fulton. Good morning. This is Anna Allen assisting.
No problem. 33,
388, I believe,
yes.
Bishop Road. That's
Bishop
in
Road.
South Fulton.
All right, got it. I'm sorry, the documents are taking a little longer on Odyssey to be retrieved. Thank you very much, Ms. Allen. Okay, does that ring a bell, Ms. Bowden? 388 Bishop Road, South Fulton?
Yes, ma'am. That's my son's address, though. That's not Mr. Taylor's.
Right. So Ms. Bowden,
Taylor's address.
just sit tight. I'm gonna get to that.
Okay, thank you.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Thank you. All right. So, Mr. Young, so that was 12 months to serve on probation. Is she getting any credit for any time served?
Yes,
She cleared for 16 days.
16 days.
Yes.
All right.
Mm.
And 40 hours of community service, would that be correct?
Yes, Judge,
And no further contact with Randall Taylor?
that's correct.
All right, and simple battery was, she has a bench warrant, that's what's causing all this mix up.
Another county.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let me hush. I apologize.
This wasn't an offense for which she was arrested in Fulton County, but you are giving her credit for 16 days for the bench warrant. Would that be correct?
That's correct, Judge.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. All right, now that we've cleared that up, Mr. Howard, does your client accept these terms and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID?
We do stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID. The only deviation, we would ask the state that the stay away address, she tells me, is her son's address, and that the victim in the case, Mr. Taylor, does not live there, has not lived there. And so unless the state has information to the contrary, we'd ask that she not be required to stay away from that Bishop Road address.
I can do a stay away from that location as long as Randall Taylor does not live there.
That's fine, Judge.
Mr. Young, are you satisfied with that?
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
Can
Ms.
we
Bowden,
include a stay away from the victim, the named victim, if that's the case? That's the
I-
person we intend her to stay away from?
yes, that's definitely in there. There's going to be no further contact with Randall Taylor.
Thank
Right.
you.
All right. So now that we got all our pegs in a row, Ms. Bowden, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, only, nothing mind altering. I don't take anything mind altering, only Tylenol.
Okay, and you are still able to understand everything that's been going on so far?
Yes, ma'am, completely.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, I am. I met with him yesterday. Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today?
Not at all. No, ma'am.
If you decide to enter a guilty plea to simple battery, you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court, to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury, to be able to challenge the evidence brought against you, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yeah, I'm ready to get out of jail. Yes, ma'am.
Are you entering this plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery?
Well, guilty.
12 months to serve. On probation, you'll be given credit for 16 days that you've already served at the jail. So for the remainder of the time, you will report to probation, where you will then begin the process of completing these conditions. The first condition is to complete a 24-week program. It's called the Domestic Violence Intervention Program. You will attend those weekly classes at your expense. You will also complete 40 hours of voluntary community service at any nonprofit agency. The supervisor would have to provide a certificate or a letter signed off indicating that you've completed at least 40 hours. You also are to have no further contact with Randall Taylor, to stay 200 yards away from him and not communicate with him in any way, form, or manner, including social media or through a third party.
No problem.
You have to stay away from 388 Bishop Road in South Fulton as long as Mr. Taylor lives there. If you verify that he does not live there, then you can return to the property. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's my son and my grandbaby's address. My son is my world. All of my kids are my blessings.
Ms. Bowden.
So how do I go about
Ms. Bowden, Ms. Bowden,
Yes, sir.
listen to what the judge is saying. She's saying you can return there if Mr. Taylor does not live there. And you and I
Okay,
discussed
gotcha.
that he does not
doesn't
live
even
there.
go there. Yes, sir. Thank
Right,
you.
okay, so that's what she's saying. If he
Yeah.
lives there, you can't go there, but you and I both discussed he does
Right.
not live there.
Yeah, he
Okay.
doesn't even go there. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
And
Judge.
the position 5 is null pros. Thank you.
Position 6, Judge.
Position 6 is null pros, excuse me.
Mm.
All right, who's next? Courtroom 2, who do we have?
Next, we have position number 4, Mr. Alto Blocker, Your Honor.
Got it. Mr. Blocker has been accused of criminal trespass in 22 CR 007913G. Mr. Alto, you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is going to be position 4. That's going to be Mr. Owen Lynch. Mr. Lynch, are you present on the Zoom?
I don't think
Right,
he's present yet, Your Honor.
We don't have conflict counsel, so I have no idea what's going on.
All right. So next, Your Honor, can we go to the probation?
Probation, yes.
And we're gonna go to Mr. Tuggle. Mr. Michael Tuggle, he's position 7 and 8 on the probation calendar.
All right, this is State versus Michael Tuggle, and the case numbers are 22 CR 005630J and 23 PB 000322. I assume the PB stands for the probation warrant that was issued as a result of probably a failure to report or failure to comply. Mr. Tuggle, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Michael McLean. And Ms. Trina Harris is our probation officer. Ms. Harris, whenever you're ready.
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Tuggle was sentenced to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. All right, which position are you starting with? The 7?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Tuggle was sentenced to probation on September the 6th, 2022 to 12 months to complete 20 hours of community service and a shoplifting class. As of today, Mr. Tuggle has not reported to our office and he has not completed the shoplifting class or the 20 hours of community service. He failed to report on December the 17th to a probation hearing with Judge Benson, and that's why a warrant was issued for his arrest. Mr. Tuggle has 6 months, 13 days remaining on his case. Probation recommendation is to credit for the time he's serving and to close his case.
All right, and we are going to null pros position 8 or dismiss position 8.
Yes, ma'am. I have to do a warrant dismissal for that one, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. McLean, does your client accept these terms?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand he's been accepted into PAD, and I think that'll be a good future for him.
All right, excellent. Mr. Tuggle, I'm going to accept the probation officer's recommendation. We're going to give you credit for the time you've been in the jail, and the case is closed. The warrant the probation warrant is also going to be dismissed. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Your Honor.
Next case, please.
Position 23 and 24, Ms. Perry.
Are we just alternating between?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. 23 and 24, and we are AC/DC, and that would be Trabia Perry. Ms. Perry has got a case 22 CR 0073998, criminal trespass and willful obstruction of an officer from October 27, 2022. And the second case, position 24, is a failure to appear warrant. Ms. Perry, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Derek Howard. This is going to be a negotiated plea hearing. So, Ms. Perry, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do. Yes.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Egby, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, sir. And what have you got for Ms. Perry this morning?
Yes, Your Honor, this is a negotiated plea to position number 23. The state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served on the 2 days that she's already have served, the balance probated, a $300 fine, and stay away from the incident location. This incident location is 1450 Donnelly Avenue Southwest. I believe, Your Honor, that is a Circle K gas station.
Thank you. Mr. Howard?
Judge, and Mr. Walker and I, talked further about this case late yesterday, and what we agreed upon was 12 months served 28 days, credit for time served 14 days, with the balance suspended to stay away.
12 months to serve what again?
28 days.
28 days and credit for time served 14 days, balance suspended.
Yes.
Your Honor, I apologize. I apologize. SGA Walker did provide me that information. That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
That was the renegotiation for this plea.
Understood. Thank you. All right. Based on that clearing up, Mr. Howard, does your client stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We do, Judge.
Ms. Perry, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
I haven't.
No. And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, I am.
And is anyone forcing you to enter a guilty plea today?
No, ma'am.
And if you do so, has it been explained to you that you will not be able to go back to court in the future? You will not have a trial in this case. You won't be able to confront your accuser or examine witnesses, have the state bring out evidence against you so you can challenge it, and also have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Has that all been explained to you?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And are you prepared to give up these rights?
At this time, yes.
At this time, would you change your mind down the road?
No, Your Honor.
And how do you plead to criminal trespass and willful obstruction of an officer?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days, balance suspended. You are to stay 200 yards away from the Circle K gas station that's located at 1450 Donnelly Avenue. And if you return to that location, you and I get to see each other again. Wouldn't that be fun? Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right. And position number 24 will be Mal Prost.
Judge Law, this is Blunt on 3 South. Can we do a breakout session with Mr. Dotis and Mr. Cortez Williams on 3 South?
So position 3 South is going in a breakout with Mr. Dotis.
Yes, Your Honor, my laptop is on the Zoom.
Okay, is it Miss Champion or Mr. Jordan? Could you
It's-
place Mr. Angelo Dotis? He's got his own Zoom panel and 3 South. And who else did you say?
Cortez Williams on 3 South.
Is that another defendant?
No, it's just 3 South and Mr. Dotis, Your Honor. It's just 3 South and Mr. Dotis needs to be in the breakout room.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, Judge, it's Ms. Grace. I have it.
All right, thank you. Okay, so are we going back to courtroom 2? Who do we have, please?
Yeah, I'll do it real quick.
We have Mr. Leighton Brownell. And Your Honor, he is position 7, number 7.
Got it. This is Leighton Bernard, case number 22 CR 007977G. Mr. Bernard has been accused of certain traffic-related matters from November 27, 2022, and that would be speeding and driving without a valid license and attempting to misrepresent a tag. Mr. Bernard, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Dotis, and who needs to be going into a breakout very shortly.
Yes, Your Honor, I was gonna handle this negotiated plea quickly and then
All right.
head over.
So, Mr. Bernard, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the information you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Young, what's the plea recommendation for Mr. Bernard?
It is 12 months probation and a $500 fine.
And that would be for the driving with a suspended license?
Yes, Judge.
All right, and what are we doing with the speeding and the tag charges?
There'll be no problem.
Okay. So this will be pleading guilty to driving with a suspended license, and they're going to null pros the speeding and the attempting to misrepresent a tag.
That's correct.
All right, and Mr. Dotis, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, and we do so stipulate, we would request for probation to terminate upon payment of the fine if there's no objection to that.
That's fine. Anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Bernal, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
Your Honor.
And have you understood the proceedings?
Yes,
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
yes.
And has anyone, has your attorney explained to you that if you enter such a plea, that you would be giving up your constitutional right to a trial, to confront your accuser, to be able to challenge the evidence brought against you, and have the state try to prove the charges against you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And has it also been explained that in pleading guilty to driving while license suspended or revoked, your license will be suspended for the next 6 months?
Say that one more time.
Mr. Dotis, pleading guilty to a driving while license suspended or revoked will result in a suspension for the next 6 months, and after which he can seek reinstatement.
Yes, Your Honor. Do you have any more questions about that?
No.
I don't believe Mr. Brana has any questions about that. We went over this, but I'm happy to discuss further if are you prepared to go forward?
Yes.
Do we need to talk further or you want to go forward? Go forward. Mr. Brana has indicated he has no other questions, but I'm in the room if he needs me.
All right, Mr. Bruno, as I've explained to you, your license will be subject to a suspension. Are you prepared to go forward?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, of course, you can seek reinstatement with the Department of Driver Services after the suspension period is over. Do you freely, voluntarily, and knowingly enter a guilty plea to the charge of driving while license suspended or revoked?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your sentence is 12 months to be served on probation, and you pay a $500 fine. You will report to probation if you pay every month. As soon as your $500 fine plus court costs are paid off, then probation will terminate. No driving until you've got a valid driver's license. Thank you. I'm sorry, Deputy Milton, repeat the page, position number?
28 and
28.
29, Ms.
Okay.
Reddick.
Thank you. $28 and $29. Is that Mr. McLean's case? Oh, excuse me, Mr. Howard. Okay. Mr. Howard, from what I can see, there's going to be a negotiated plea in position 28, and we're going to arraign her on 29. Would that be correct?
Yes, well, submit a written waiver of arraignment on 29, Judge.
Okay.
But yes, that's correct.
All right. So just to go to position 29 with regards to Ms. Chastity Riddick. She's accused of battery, domestic violence, and willful obstruction of an officer. Case number 23 CR 0020508. This incident was allegedly on April 2nd, 2023. With regards to that case, Ms. Riddick, your attorney will be filing what we call a waiver of arraignment, and we will accept your not guilty plea, and the case will be scheduled for trial. So that will be arraigned and rescheduled for jail jury. Position 28 is 17 CR 0008688H. Ms. Riddick has been accused of disorderly conduct, driving on the wrong side of the roadway, DUI, less safe, and DUI per se from a February 15, 2015 incident. Ms. Riddick, I understand this is going to be a negotiated plea. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? I can't hear you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Egbe, what's the recommendation, and which charges is she pleading guilty to?
Your Honor, she's proceeding on the DUI less safe.
All right.
The state's
And-
recommendation.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to verify, are we going to null pros the other three charges or merge any of them?
That's correct, Your Honor. Will be no processing. The DUI per se merges into the less safe, and then we'll be dismissing the disorderly conduct and driving on the wrong side of the road.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Yes, sir. And the recommendation is?
Recommendation is 12 months to serve, 24 hours credit for time served, balance probated. Your Honor, there's a $300 fine that we're allowing to be converted into 30 hours of community service on top of the additional 40 hours of community service, alcohol and drug evaluation and any recommended treatment, completion of a risk reduction course, and the VIP driving course as well, Your Honor.
You mean the victim impact panel?
Victim impact panel, yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Howard, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, we do stipulate to a factual basis, venue and ID, and we do accept those terms, Judge. The only additional consideration we'd ask is that the probation fees be waived, given that Ms. Riddick is not working. And we'd ask that the probation be allowed to go non-reporting once she completes all the requirements and conditions.
I will do a waiver for the first 2 months. We're halfway through April, so it'll be April, May, and June.
Okay.
And then if she's completed all the terms, any objection to non-reporting, Mr. Egbe?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Riddick, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, Your Honor.
And have you understood the proceeding so far?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand that you'll be pleading guilty to one charge of DUI, driving under the conditions of less safe?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today?
No, Your Honor.
If you decide to plead guilty, you will have to give up your right to go back to court and have a trial in this case to be able to confront your accuser, challenge the evidence brought against you, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of driving under the influence of alcohol less safe?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 24 hours, credit for time served 1 day. You'll be reporting to probation next week. While on probation, you will complete a total of 70 hours, that's 70 hours of community service, voluntary community service with any nonprofit agency. You can do it at multiple nonprofits or just one agency, but the letter or letters must show that you've completed at least a total of 70 hours. 30 hours is based upon the conversion from a $300 fine. While on probation, you will also complete an alcohol and drug evaluation and submit yourself to any treatment that's required at your expense. You will do a risk reduction program and attend a victim impact panel program. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Once your probation officer is satisfied that you've completed all these conditions, your probation will then be non-reporting. Your probation fees shall be waived for the months of April, May, and June. So the sooner you're done, the less you have to pay. Understood?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, one other thing, we would ask that she's eligible for the limited permit referral form, formerly known as the affidavit of first conviction. So we'd ask that be able to have that signed by the court.
All right, Ms. Casey Strong is our litigation manager today. I'll grant the affidavit of first conviction, but she would need to prepare it and make sure, and you need to make sure that it is ready for my signature.
Okay, I'll give Ms. Strong.
All right. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Your Honor, we're going back to probation. Mr. Howell, Mr. Raymond Howell. This is number 9. This is position number 9. Okay, I'm on.
Number 9?
Position number 3 and 4. I'm sorry. Your Honor.
Okay, all right. For a moment there, I thought they sent me the wrong calendar. Okay. All right, sir. So we have Mr. Raymond Howell in the courtroom on a probation revocation matter. Mr. Howell, your probation case is 19 CR 007434J, and we have a probation warrant case 23 PV 320. We're going to be addressing both the cases. Please remember that you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Ms. Trina Harris, you've already been sworn. Can you tell me about position number 4?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Howell was sentenced to probation on August 23rd, 2022 to 12 months to complete 8 weeks of anger management. As of today, Mr. Howell has failed to report to our office, and that's why a warrant was issued for his arrest. He has 4 months and 24 days remaining. Probation recommendation is to revoke his remaining balance.
And to serve the rest of the 12 months in jail?
4 months, 4 months, 26 days.
4 months and 26 days. All right, and Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, is his family on Zoom? I believe that.
And who would that be? Could you identify the person?
That would be Jack Howell.
Is there a Jack Powell on Zoom? Jack Powell.
Or anybody else in the family.
Is there anyone on Zoom who is related or here on behalf of Raymond, middle initial M, Howell?
All right, Your Honor, apparently.
Hang on. There is a lady with the orange hat on.
That's
And
correct.
she's on Samsung, but we cannot hear you. Your Zoom is muted because you've not unmuted your Zoom. There is a button on your screen. Is there someone to help you? All right, I see someone coming forward.
There we go. Your Honor, the name of his brother is Jack Howell, and the name of his mother is Mary Lee Howell. They live in Fairburn.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, this
All
is
right.
my mother.
What's her name?
Mary Lee.
Mary Lee Howell.
And you are Jack Powell?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, both of you raise your right hands, please. Do you both solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Mr. McLean, who would you like to have speak on behalf of Mr. Powell?
Well, I'm gonna lay out what I believe they can confirm and corroborate, Your Honor, if I might. Mr. Raymond Howell, when I interviewed him, told me that he has a schizoid affective disorder, that he has been taking medicine of Seroquel 100 milligrams per day and Trazodone 180 milligrams per day. And in this, Your Honor, the side effects were such that he switched over to therapy that consists of going to the VA 2 or 3 times a month. Now, talk therapy usually doesn't quite do it to supplant or substitute for serious medications, but apparently this is working in his opinion. So he's missing out on his VA treatment. He is a United States veteran, served 1979 to 1982 in the U.S. Army. Your Honor, Jack Howell says he needs him at home. Basically, Mr. Howell has been useful to the community in having jobs in lawn care, mail clerk for a company, laborer, advertising flyer distributor. And he basically has his own, despite the disability that he has applied to VA for and I believe gets that treatment through, it is, he has a detailing car operation. He has 10 to 15 clients and he details their cars. That helps keep body and soul together and helps put a little bit of the food on the table. So if I didn't get a chance to talk to Jack or Howell or to Mary Lee Howell, except to simply give them the link so that they could get on. I've not interviewed them, but if they corroborate what Mr. Raymond Howell says, that would be super. If they don't, well, we'll find out what's going on.
Mr. Jack Powell, do you
Yes, ma'am.
agree with the statements that were made by Attorney Michael McLean with regards to Mr. Raymond Howell's medical condition?
Oh, absolutely. And matter of fact, he had several appointments that I had to cancel for him.
Now, you do understand that he still has to report to probation, and if he fails to report to probation again, he's going to be back in jail.
Yes, ma'am. We was wondering if we could have him do non-reporting probation.
No.
Okay, I mean, because see, now I have prostate cancer now, and my mother is sick, and my niece, which is this is my great nephew right here, our great nephew.
I understand, sir, but Mr. Powell, Raymond Powell, has a sentence to complete, and he has not done a single thing on that sentence.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that.
All right, thank you. Anything else, Mr. McLean?
We just asked the court to give him another chance. Thank you, Your Honor.
Please mute your screen, Mr. Jack Powell.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Trina Harris, do you have anything else to add?
No, Your Honor.
All right. The court will sentence Mr. Raymond Powell to 22 days. He has served the 22 days in jail for this particular probation matter, and we will continue him on probation. He will need to report to probation in person every month until the conclusion of the 4 months and 26 days, remaining on his sentence. And once he's done that, the case will be closed. Anything else?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. His family will have to make sure that he reports every month. All we're asking him is to report, make sure he's compliant with his medication and treatment, and that he's not getting in trouble with the law. That's all. It's once a month. Thank you. And position number 3, we're dismissing the warrant. Thank you.
Can we go back to Mr. Cortez Williams on 3 South?
And what position is that?
I don't have the position. I'm not sure.
All
That's
right.
position number 42, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh boy, sorry, a lot of pages here. Okay. And Mr. McLean, is this Mr. McLean's client?
Yes.
No, Your Honor. I believe that's going to be Mr. Dotis.
He's coming right now, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
My apologies, Your Honor.
No problem.
Yes,
All right,
for,
this is State versus Cortez Williams, 23 CR 002-058G. Mr. Williams, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. Anything you choose to say, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and you're represented by Mr. Dotis. Announcement, sir, Mr. Dotis?
yes, Your Honor, this is going to be a plea of not guilty, and I'll submit a waiver of arraignment.
Will you be filing a waiver of arraignment?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Williams, we will accept your not guilty plea pursuant to your attorney filing a written waiver of arraignment. It must be submitted to Ms. Casey Strong as soon as possible. And the case will be further noticed for jail jury. Thank you. Next
Your Honor,
position,
Your Honor, can we
Position
sound?
38.
position 38. And Mr. Agby, who do we want to sound out for?
I was just making sure that if we have any of the victims on related to that case, that we allow them, let them know that they can that this case has been handled and that they can leave. I didn't know if we had any.
Anyone here for the Cortez Smith case? All right, no one. Position 38, we are addressing this young lady at the ACDC location. This is State versus Donna Thomas, accused of theft by shoplifting from March 28, 2023. Case number 23 CR 002-0048. This is position 38 and all right. Mr. Dotis, is that your client?
It's gonna be my case, Judge.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Howard, I do beg your pardon. Ms. Thomas, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. Your attorney is Mr. Derek Howard. Ms. Howard, well, how are we proceeding in this case? I've got two conflicting notes on position 38.
Right. This is negotiated plea, Judge.
Okay. And Ms. Thomas, could you please raise your right hand? Do you raise your right hand, Ms. Thomas? Donna Thomas? Bring your hand up. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And Mr. Agby, what's the recommendation for Ms. Thomas?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months to serve, 24 days, credit for 12 days, the balance probated, to complete the theft awareness course and to stay away from the incident location. I'm about to provide us with that address. The address in this case is 4735 State Road 138. I believe that is, let's see.
The Union City.
Is that the Union City Walmart?
Yes.
Yes, that's the Union City Walmart. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Howard, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We do, Judge. We asked the court to accept the plea as negotiated. We would ask that the court consider waiving some of the probation fees and that a probation be allowed to terminate once she completes the theft course.
I will wait for April and May, but if she hasn't completed it by the end of May, she will need to continue reporting and start paying probation fees on June 1st onwards.
Okay.
Ms. Thomas, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney? Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to plead guilty to theft by shoplifting, this would be a conviction on your record. And if you have 3 or more theft by shoplifting convictions on your record, any subsequent arrest will automatically be a felony charge. Has that been told to you?
Yes.
Repeat?
You said, has that been told to me? No,
Yes.
I'm hearing it now. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you understand that if you have 3 or more, the trouble will increase in the future.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial. You won't be able to go back to court to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give this up?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count of theft by shoplifting?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve, to serve 24 days, credit for time served 12 days. Your jail time is concluded. You'll be released and placed on probation. While on probation, you must complete an anti-theft class or a theft awareness program, or I don't know what fancy titles they have for it now.
Yes, ma'am.
But basically, the essence is don't steal.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And also, I'll waive your probation fees for the months of April and May. So as soon as you're done with the class, sooner you'll be done with probation. I
Yes.
will put you on non-reporting status after you've completed the class.
Thank you so much, Judge.
All right. And do not return to the Walmart in Union City.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
we're gonna go to Mr. Brandon Butler.
Is he on the SAP calendar or probation?
He's on the SAP calendar. He's
Okay.
position number 8.
8. Okay. This is Brandon Butler, who is in courtroom 2, accused of theft by shoplifting from March 27, 2023. Case number 23 CR 001-860D. Mr. Butler, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Dodis. And this is going to be a non-negotiated plea. Would that be correct?
Yes, Your Honor. The only condition at issue is the $500 fine. We're fine with the stay away and are fine with the anti-theft order.
Mr. Young, any movement on the requirement for the $500 fine?
The state's fine with a $250 fine.
Oh, we're negotiating now. All right, back to you, Mr. Dodis. What do you say?
Your Honor, again, we would just ask there be no fine.
And the reason being?
Your Honor, usually in theft by shoplifting cases, we see things like restitution and amount for restitution, which I would understand the state would offer. Here, a electric chainsaw was at issue with a value of $169. And that was recovered. It never left the property of the incident location. So I don't see any reason for a fine or a restitution amount. I think that the charge is adequately addressed with the jail time, probation, and the anti-theft force.
All right. Mr. Young, does Mr. Butler have any prior theft by shoplifting convictions or anything, crimes of moral turpitude?
He does have a burglary conviction from 2013 out of Clayton County. In his criminal history, I do see a theft by taking, which is about 10 years old. The defense attorney is correct. The chainsaw was recovered. However, so there is no restitution. However, to me, that it insinuates that it should be easier to pay a $250 fine, given that you don't have to worry about paying any restitution. And this is not Mr. Butler's first, brush with the law. So I think in order to be fully accountable for his actions, he should pay at least a $250 fine.
Mr. Doris, I'm willing to amend it to 50 hours of voluntary community service. Would he be willing to accept that?
Service? Yes, Your Honor, he will. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Butler, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Young, so we've already heard that it was just 12 months to serve 32 days, credit for time served 16 days, the $500 fine, which the court will convert to 50 hours community service. What's the incident location from where he has to stay away?
It is 2525 Piedmont Road, Northeast in Atlanta. I believe that's a Target.
It was a Target or a Home Depot? I thought it was a chainsaw from Home Depot. I don't know. The Target sell chainsaws,
My understanding is it was a Home Depot, Your Honor.
I could have the wrong.
Let's see now.
Let me double check.
My goodness. I've got snail service today, and it's a Home Depot. Okay. All right, so it's a Home Depot. All right. And Mr. Dotis, does your client stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, we do so stipulate to the three elements.
Mr. Butler, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
I am.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today?
No, Your Honor.
I can't understand what you just said.
No, Your Honor.
If you decide to enter a guilty plea to this theft by shoplifting, it will be a conviction on your record. And if you have 3 or more convictions, any subsequent arrest for shoplifting will be a felony arrest. Has that been explained to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial, to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to 1 count of theft by shoplifting?
Yes.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 32 days, credit for time served, 16 days. Your jail time is concluded. The $500 fine will be converted to 50 hours of voluntary community service hours. You can do those at any nonprofit agency, but they must add up to 50 hours. You are also to complete an anti-theft class or theft awareness class, and that must be done while you're on probation. You are at all times, you're to stay away from the Home Depot store located on Piedmont Road. Now, I will waive your probation fees for the month of April and May, but you will continue to report to probation until the community service and the anti-theft class is completed. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor. What's the number?
Thank you.
I got it.
Position number 20, McClendon.
Who represents Mr. McClendon, please?
Yeah. I got to put you on hold.
Attorney McLean is on his way.
Mr. McLean, do you represent Mr. McClendon?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, after I address the plea hearing in Mr. McClendon, we're going to take a 10-minute recess, and then I will resume the Zoom hearing in this particular case. So if any of the parties, any of the attorneys need to confer during that recess, please take this opportunity to do so. This is State versus Bernard McClendon, case number 23 CR 002-005Y, accused of theft by receiving stolen property from October 25th, 2022. Mr. McClendon, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and Mr. Michael McLean is your counsel. Mr. McClendon, may I place you under oath? Mr. McClendon, can you hear me?
Yes.
Raise your right hand. The other right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Young, what is the recommendation for Mr. McClendon?
The recommendation is 12 months probation and a anti-theft course.
All right. 12 months probation, anti-theft class. Is he being given credit for? Well, let me ask Mr. McLean. Mr. McLean, does your client have any other matters holding him?
Let's see, Your Honor. I don't have any information on any other matters that would be holding him. I just, in interviewing my clients yesterday, noticed that Mr. McClendon said that he could do the course and he would stay away and have no contact and be able to fulfill his probation requirements.
All right, I'm sorry, Mr. Young, who is the alleged victim from whom he has to stay away?
The victim of the theft is Jason Hickson, located at 1013 McGill Park Avenue, Northeast in Atlanta, Georgia.
1013, what was that?
1013 McGill, McGill, Park Avenue.
Okay, got it. All right. Mr. McClendon, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for this? Mr. McLean, does your client stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
He does, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. McClendon, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
Judge, we can't hear you. You went out.
Mr. McClendon, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol?
No.
You need to sit up straight, sir, so I can see you. Thank you.
No, ma'am.
And have you understood what's been going on?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that if you plead guilty to this charge, that you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial, to be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the evidence brought against you, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt? Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of theft by receiving stolen property?
Guilty, but they did get it back.
Well, that's good to hear, but you're still pleading guilty. Would that be correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So your sentence is 12 months probation. While you're on probation, you have to complete an anti-theft class. You have to have no contact with Jason Hickson, and you cannot return to the location at 1013 McGill Park Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McLean, do we have anything else to address?
That's it, Your Honor. I have good contact information. I hope it's good information to pass on to JCS, and we're concluded.
All right.
Your
Mr.
Honor,
Howard, yes,
yes.
sir.
Judge, just so the record will be clear, Mr. McClendon should be given credit for 54 days.
That's what I was asking when I was trying
Yes,
to
I did hear
verify.
you ask that, Judge. So yes, he did 1 day initially, and then he's done 53 days on the rearrest. So we'd ask to be given credit for 54 days towards that 12 months probation.
Mr. Young, do you have any objection to me amending the sentence to 12 months to serve 54 days, credit for time served 54 days, remainder on probation?
No, Judge.
All right, Ms. Young, could we make that amendment, please? 12 months to serve 54 days, credit for 54 days, remainder on probation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is 10:03. I will be back at 10:10 or 10:13. Thank you. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the delay. Let us resume with the SAP calendar. And Mr. Lynch, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I apologize for being late. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Blocker. I did not get the notice, but I think that's my fault. My understanding is Mr. Blocker wants to resolve his case, but I'm hoping the state could send me the offer. But if it's what I anticipated is, he'll want to go ahead and resolve his case.
All right. Mr. Blocker is in the courtroom, and we have Mr. Young, ASGD Young. Mr. Young, if you would like to send the plea offer directly in the chat feature to Mr. Lynch, that would be helpful. And then Mr. Lynch, subsequently, perhaps you can call the jail in courtroom 2, 612-2392. 404-612-2392.
Yes,
Your Honor, he already spoke to his client.
we did speak, and we may not have to speak again if the plea is in the lines of what I told him it may be.
All right. In that case, then we will resume with the next case in courtroom 2. Who do we have?
Your Honor, can we go back to Mr. Bronoff?
This is position 7, Your Honor. We needed to readdress.
Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. After further discussion with ASG Young, I don't believe there's any objection to Mr. Brana entering a change of plea of nolo contendere instead of guilty after further discussions. So we would ask to change the plea.
That's fine. Have you verified that that amends the suspension?
We haven't submitted the paperwork yet or anything. So
Yeah, subsection B of the statute. I mean, I just looked at it, but it's up to you. It's not a moving violation, so the nolo contendere is not going to affect his points. It's
our issue is with the suspension. If my supervisor, Derek Howard, has any thoughts on that, I'll ask. But
the only other option, if the state is amenable to it, if they want to amend it to no license on person, but keep the same penalty, that's entirely up to the state. That will not trigger a suspension. Well, Mr. Howard is shaking vigorously up and down, but
That's my understanding. A NOLO on the suspended license or change to driving. I mean, no license on person. I agree, Judge. Those two would.
but it's entirely up to Mr. Young. So I can go back to Mr. Branoff's case after Mr. Young has had a moment to ponder about it. And then if y'all are amenable, I'll be glad to amend that. But at the present time, I can't do anything.
thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, next case, please. Is it 3 South?
Position number 27, Posey.
Thank you. This is State versus Michael Posey, case number 23 CR 001-869Y. Mr. Posey was accused of criminal trespass and public drunk from March 26, 2023. Mr. Posey, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Is it going to be you?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So this is position 27, and this is going to be a negotiated plea. Mr. Posey, may I place you under oath, please?
How you doing, Judge Jackson Law? I would like to speak at the end, okay?
All right. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am, I do, Judge.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Mr. Egbe, what is the plea recommendation for Mr. Posey?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months to serve, 32 days, credit for time served, 16 days, balance probated, completion of alcohol drug evaluation and any recommended treatment, and stay away from the incident location of 2450 Piedmont Road Northeast. Your Honor, that is the Dunkin' Donuts on that road.
The one right next to Marta?
Your Honor, I believe that this is the one that is right by Marta. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Yes, Mr. McLean, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We do
stipulate he does accept the terms. I'm thinking he probably doesn't need to add anything because this is fairly simple and straightforward. He knows where he's going to stay away from, and he understands what the alcohol evaluation is all about. I think it'll be an alcohol evaluation, probably won't need much of a drug evaluation. Problem is drinking. So that's what we have, Your Honor.
All right.
We ask the court to accept the negotiated plea.
Mr. Posey, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am, but I was asking you about them. Can you stop the payments from probation because I don't have it right now. I want to get out and get situated. I got a house, 3 kids, and I'm an Army vet. I'm a Moore Mason. I'm trying to, and probation is $480. Please waive that for me and put me on non-reporting. I will never go there again, Judge Law. I will never go there again.
I can
Please.
suspend, I can waive your probation fees for the months of April, May, and June. It'll be 2.5 months.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
How long will I be on probation? 10
You'll be
months?
on probation for as long as you need to complete your alcohol and drug evaluation. And if the evaluator says you need treatment, then you need to submit yourself to that treatment. As soon as that treatment is completed, then your probation will be non-reporting.
Okay. Yes, ma'am, Judge Law.
But if
Yes,
you mess up, if you get arrested again, or if you do not report for treatment, or if you don't do your evaluation, then you get to come back to jail.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yes,
I got
really.
you.
It's called revocation of probation.
Right. Okay, I got you. So what I need to do is go to Alcohol Anonymous and report to them and see that I need treatment.
You need alcohol and drug evaluation. If they do evaluation, that would be great.
Okay. Well, if not, go to Grady. I'm going to Grady.
Sounds like a plan.
I think that's a good idea, Mr. Posey. Alcoholics Anonymous is just meetings, not treatment. To go to Grady. Thank you.
All right. So
where
let me
do I go?
continue. Well, Mr. Posey, now you get to answer my questions.
Okay. Yeah, ma'am.
I forgot what was my question. Okay. Oh, yes. Have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am, I am, Judge Law.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am, Judge Law.
And Mr. Posey, if you decide to plead guilty to these 2 charges, you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court, to have a trial, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up all these rights?
Yes, Judge Law.
Are you entering a plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
How do you plead to 1 count of criminal trespass at the Dunkin' Donuts and 1 count of public drunk?
Guilty. Guilty, Judge Law.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 32 days, credit for time served 16 days. This is a concurrent sentence. You will then report to probation. While on probation, you will complete an alcohol and drug evaluation. You can do that at Grady. That would be great. If the evaluator or Grady says you need to come back for meetings or treatment, then you must do so at your own expense. You're also to stay away from the Dunkin' Donuts, which is located at 2450 Piedmont Road. And if you've completed your alcohol and drug evaluation and all treatment, your probation will be non-reporting. I will waive your probation fees for April, May, and June. Thank you.
Okay, where do I go in Grady to get an alcohol evaluation? Where
You go
in
to the
Grady do
front
I go?
desk. You go to the front desk and you tell them what you need to do.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I'll
Thank
do
you.
that.
Best of luck.
So I'm going home? I'm going home?
Within 24 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, we have position number 4, Mr. Blocker. We're going back to Mr. Blocker.
We're going back to Mr. Blocker.
Yeah.
I leave for 10 minutes now. I have to do a do-over. Come on, guys. All right. Oh, that's Mr. Lynch's case. Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, this is 22 CR 007-913G, State versus Alto Blocker. Mr. Blocker is in courtroom 2. His attorney, Mr. Owen Lynch, is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Blocker is accused of criminal trespass. Mr. Blocker, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Lynch. Is this a negotiated plea, Mr. Lynch?
Yes, Your Honor, it is a negotiated plea. I've relayed the terms to Mr. Blocker, and he has chosen to accept it at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Blocker, if you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Young, what's the recommendation for Mr. Blocker?
Your Honor, the plea recommendation in this case is 12 months, served 30 days, the balance suspended, credit for time served. I think he has 1 day on this case, and stay away from the incident location being 9995 Old Dogwood Road in Roswell, and stay away from the victim William Street common spelling.
So it's 30 days to serve 30 days, credit for time served 1 day. Would that be correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, he's been held on a felony case, but so I guess he hasn't been held on this particular case, but he has been in custody.
All right. Mr. Blocker and sorry, Mr. Lynch, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Blocker, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And Mr. Blocker, if you decide to accept this plea offer, you know you won't be able to go back to court. You would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial, to have the assistance of counsel so that you can challenge the state's evidence, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, present any defenses you may have, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, I am.
Are you entering this plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes.
How do you plead to 1 count of criminal trespass?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 1 day. You have 28 more days to serve, which means that if you serve 14 actual days, that will be considered a completion of your sentence. Once you are released from any other holds, you are to stay away from 9995 Old Dogwood Road in Roswell, Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, Mr. Lynch, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you. Thank you.
Excuse me, Judge Law, I just wanted to confirm there wasn't no further contact with this individual as well, correct?
No, it was just a stay away.
Yeah, we have position number 32 and 33. So scroll out.
Is he at 4 North?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. We are addressing Mr. DeMichael Skurlock, who is located at 4 North. And Mr. Dotis, is that your client?
I believe Attorney McLean is walking over. That's my case, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. 32 and 33. Okay. And Mr. Skurlock, you have please sit up straight. Mr. Skurlock, please sit up straight. Thank you. You have 2 cases before you, and would like to remind you that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and your counsel is Mr. Michael McLean, who is seated in courtroom number 2. Can you see him? Mr. McLean might want to wave. Do you see him?
On mute.
All right. Okay, so Mr. Skurlock's first case on position 32 is 22 CR 0076058, accused of theft by shoplifting from January 14, 2022. His second case is a bench warrant issued on February 6, 2023, and this is 23 FTA 000278. The FTA case will be null prost if we move forward with the plea hearing. Mr. Agebe, what is the, sorry, Mr. Skurlock, could you please raise your right hand and unmute 4 North, please? Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Agibe, I'm sorry, could you please tell me the plea recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is 12 months to serve. The balance probated. I don't have an actual, let me verify on the FTA how long he's been in custody. Like he's been in custody now for 20 days. So the state would be amendable to giving him a sentence of to serve 40 days credit for 20 days served, completion of a theft course, stay away, balance probated, and to stay away from the incident location. In this case, it's 6149 Old National Highway. That's the Walmart, Your Honor, in South Fulton. That's all from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. McLean, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID in this case?
We do so stipulate, Your Honor.
Mr. Scurlock, have you consumed? Oh, we need to unmute him again. I'm not sure what's so jovial. Oh, no. Okay. Mr. Scurlock,
Yes, ma'am.
do you have you listened to the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am. By the
And-
12-month probation.
And have you understood what's been going on so far?
Yes, ma'am. About the 12-month probation, right?
Have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And has your attorney explained to you that if you plead guilty to a theft by shoplifting, that will be a conviction on your record?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you have 3 or more theft by shoplifting convictions, any subsequent arrest for shoplifting will be a felony charge.
Yes, ma'am.
Has it also been explained that if you enter a guilty plea today, that you would be giving up your right to a trial before a judge or a jury to be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt? Are you prepared to give up this right?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count of theft by shoplifting?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 1 count? Thank you. Your sentence is 12 months to serve 40 days, credit for time served 20 days. You do not have any additional jail time. You are done with jail time. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You will be placed on probation. You will report to probation next week. While on probation, you will complete 1 theft awareness class, and you will stay away from the Walmart store at 6149 Old National Highway in South Fulton. If you return to that location, to its sidewalks, to its parking lots, you will be arrested again. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any more questions about your sentence?
No, ma'am.
That concludes this case. Thank you.
Your Honor, any financial break the court could give him would be appreciated. He has been challenged financially in the last few years.
I'll waive his probation fees for April and May. Thank you.
Your Honor, we have position number 12, Mr. Accord.
That's number 2.
Okay, position number 2. I apologize, position number 2.
No problem. Thank you. This is Azizi Accord, case number 23 CR 001682D. Mr. Accord is accused of simple assault, domestic violence from March 19, 2023. Mr. Accord, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Dodis. And according to my sheet, I have a hold for announcement. Mr. Dodis?
Yes, Your Honor. We attempted to further negotiations with the state. Mr. Accord is aware of what the offer should be, but if we could have the state repeat that so that Mr. Accord can make a final decision on what he wants to do today.
Understood. Mr. Young, what is the state's recommendation?
Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case is 12 months, serve 46 days, credit for time served, 23 days, the Family Violence Intervention Program, 40 hours community service, and no further contact with the victim, his father, Azizi Accord Sr.
And that's the offer I went over with my client yesterday. Mr. Accord, do you want to go forward with that offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
sir.
This will be a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Accord, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Mr. Young has already explained the terms of the sentence. If you decide to enter a guilty plea, Mr. Dotis, does your client stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
He does, Your Honor.
And Mr. Accord, have you consumed? You can put your hand down, sir. Have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Are you
ma'am.
satisfied with you? I'm sorry?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Accord, if you decide to enter this plea, you would have to give up your right to a trial, to have the assistance of counsel so that you could go back to court, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the state's evidence, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you entering your guilty plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you plead to one count of simple assault, domestic violence?
I plead guilty, Your Honor.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 46 days, credit for time served 23 days. For this case, you don't have any additional time, jail time. Upon release, you will report to probation. You will complete a 24-week program we call the Domestic Violence Intervention Program. You will also complete 40 hours of voluntary community service with any nonprofit agency. At all times, you are to have no contact with Azizi Accord Sr. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, that concludes this case. Thank you.
And Your Honor, we would request a financial grade for Mr. Accord, if possible, to help him land on his feet when released.
I will waive his probation fees for the month of April and May, and then he would need to start paying from June onwards.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we have position number 16, Mr. Darius Jenkins.
16. Okay. This is State versus Darius Bernard Jenkins, 23 CR 001-825E. Mr. Jenkins is charged with giving false information to a law enforcement officer, possession and use of drug-related objects, willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer from a March 26, 2023 incident. Mr. Jenkins, I've already explained that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, we have public defense attorneys who will be glad to represent you and offer you their legal expertise. I've got a note here that he wants to be self-represented. Is that still the situation, Mr. Dotis?
After speaking with Mr. Jenkins yesterday, he indicated that he wanted to address this case himself. I'll leave it to Mr. Jenkins if he still believes that.
Mr. Jenkins, if you choose to represent yourself and waive your right to counsel, you are responsible for any legal decision that you make based upon your knowledge and your research of the law. And based on your legal decision, you are responsible for how it may impact your personal situation, any other open cases that may have that might be out there against you, upon your residency, if applicable, as well as upon your job. Are you willing to represent yourself?
No, ma'am.
Repeat your response.
No, ma'am.
You do not want to represent yourself?
No.
Do you want Mr. Dotis to speak on your behalf?
Yes.
Mr. Dotis, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, I need a second to speak with my client, if we can move on to another position.
All right. We will hold on Mr. Jenkins. Next case.
Next, Your Honor, we're gonna go to position number 18, Jerron Jordan.
Just in the chair over there. 18 and 19 votes.
Yeah, my apologies, 18 and 19, Your Honor, Mr. Jerron Jordan.
All right. And Mr. Young, as you know, I waive sounding on these charges and I expect that to be strictly complied. With regards to position 18, we are addressing a not guilty plea. So Mr. McLean, are you filing a waiver of arraignment?
I can do that, Your Honor. Within 24 hours, I can have that filed with the court. Yeah.
All right. This is case 23 CR 0018663J. Mr. Jordan is accused of a misdemeanor offense from February 9th, 2023. And Mr. Jordan, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Mr. McLean will be filing a written waiver of arraignment. So we will accept your not guilty plea to this misdemeanor offense. And this case is further notice for jail jury. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, Your Honor, we have Mr. Douglas Murray, his position number 22. Mr.
Thank
Douglas
you.
Murray.
Your Honor, if I might grab a piece of paper. Let's see, 22 is a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
Thank you. This is State versus Murray, 20 CR 0048591. Mr. Murray is accused of battery, domestic violence from July 29th, 2020. Mr. Murray, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. May I place you under oath for purposes of the plea? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Young, oh, is it Mr. Young? Yeah. What is the recommendation for Mr. Murray?
It's just the state's recommendation in this case is 12 months served, 30 days, the balance probated, family violence and eviction program, 40 hours community service, $500 fine, and no further contact with the victim, Sherry Mickens, and to stay away from the incident location. Let me pull that up. That's that location. Incident location being, I believe it's 758 Stone Chapel Road.
Stone Chapel Road. Is that in Atlanta?
Thompson, Georgia.
Thompson, Georgia.
No, that's his.
That's his address. Okay.
I know, I've been having a tough time with jurisdiction if it's in Thompson, Georgia. Mr. Murray is, just give me a moment, let me pull up the.
Okay. The incident location is, let me enlarge that. It is 6260 Peachtree, Dunwoody Road, Sandy Springs. I believe it's a hotel. It's a room number 602.
All right, got it. Thank you. Mr. McLean, does your client agree to these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
He does, and we do, Your Honor. I note that there are several elements to his conditions of probation. Some of them are expensive, 2 of them are expensive, and he would ask for any special break the court could give him on several months of probation later.
I will waive his probation fees for April, May, and June, but he would need to start paying probation fees. Would that be satisfactory?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Murray, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
Has it been explained that in entering such a plea to battery, domestic violence, that any subsequent arrest for a similar offense will automatically be a felony?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
And if you decide to enter a guilty plea today, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial, to confront your accuser, have the assistance of counsel to challenge the state's case, to be able to examine your own witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you entering this plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead? To one count of battery, domestic violence.
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. Would that be correct, Mr. Young? Okay.
All right.
Balance probated. I'll waive your probation fees for April, May, and June. You will need to start paying probation fees from July onwards. While on probation, you will complete the 24-week domestic violence intervention program, complete 40 hours of voluntary community service at any nonprofit agency, pay a $500 fine, have no contact with Sherry Minkins, and to stay away from the hotel property at 6260 Peachtree Dunwoody Road in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question, ma'am?
Well, why don't you ask me first in the back and then I'll bring it to the board if necessary.
Okay.
Mr. McLean never lets me answer questions, so go ahead and ask him.
I want to know.
Do we have a case at a different location of the facility? For North or?
We're ready. We're back, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Is there something else for me to address, or shall we move on?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Next, we have position 25 and position 26, Mr. Telly Savalas Phillips.
Okay. I'm not going to make any comment because it'll date me, so I am going to just move forward. All right, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, he asked the court to accept the negotiated plea of guilty. There will be 6 weeks of anger management involved here, and he could go once a week, or he could do a block of several hours at a time. If this is available online, that'd be great. But Your Honor, it will cost a fee, and I'm guesstimating that it will cost a couple of $100. So if the court could give him a couple of months break, or 3 month break or whatever on the probation $49 fee, that would help him pay for the court. I've told him I would ask the court to consider going to non-reporting if he completes the course quickly.
All right, we'll see. Mr. Telly Savalas Phillips case, he has two. Position 25 is 22 CR 005036A, accused of simple assault from September 13, 21. The second case is a bench warrant case. It's 23 FTA 000282, and that case will be null prost or closed out if the plea hearing moves forward. Mr. Phillips, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Mr. Egbe, what's this recommendation, and do you have any objection to non-reporting?
The state has no objection to non-reporting, Your Honor. Also, there is a victim in this case, Myron Toombs. So the state will request that if Mr. Toombs is on the call, that or anyone associated with the Phillips case, that they be sounded for.
Is there anyone who would like to speak or appear on behalf of Telly Savalas Phillips? All right, Mr. Egbe?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation and the case of simple assault is 12 months on probation. No further contact with the victim in this case of Myron Toombs. That's spelled MYRONTOOMBS. To stay away from the incident location, which in this case is 2396 Sandgate Road in Atlanta. Completion of a 6 weeks anger management course. And that is all, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. McLean?
Fairly straightforward, Your Honor. He asked the court to accept that, and if the court could give a waiver of some fees, that's wonderful.
All right. I will waive his probation fees for April, May, and June, but he would need to continue reporting to probation.
Hopefully by that time, he will have completed the course anyway.
Yeah, and once he completes the classes, then he will be on a non-reporting. All right, Mr. Phillips, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this offer today?
No.
Has your attorney explained to you that if you decide to enter a guilty plea, you would have to give up your constitutional right to trial? You will not be able to confront your accuser, be able to challenge the state's evidence brought against you, to examine witnesses yourself, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
And how do you plead to one count of simple assault?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months on probation. If you have no other cases holding you, you should be released within 24 hours. While on probation, you are to have no further contact with Myron Tunes, and you have to complete 6 weeks of anger management classes. I will waive your probation fees for April, May, and June. And if you still need to complete the classes, you start paying probation fees from July 1st onwards. Once the classes are completed, you are non-reporting probation, but that doesn't mean that you are off the hook. You still need to stay away from the Myron Tunes. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if you get this one, accept.
Next, Your Honor, we have Mr. Sanchez Calillo. Yes.
Is he the one at 4 North or courtroom
Oh, he's
2?
gonna be in courtroom 2.
All right.
He has position 30 and 31.
Oh, Your Honor, on 4 North, I see Mr. Miller. I've spoken on the phone with Mr. Miller's family in North Carolina. And because his brother is actually at work, they build docks on lakes. And because his brother is actually on the water right now, as he put it, and his father has very severe hearing disability due to a service-related 5-inch gun going off over very close to his head back in the day. So with the hearing problem, we're going to need a week to prepare this. I think the brother will be the main person zooming in from North Carolina. The father might be also zooming in. So if we could have 7 days, that would, I think, be better.
All right. This was Mr. Miller. What position is that?
Well, that was a position of violation of probation position in the middle of it.
Oh, it was on probation?
Right, that's a probation case.
Okay. Position 5 and 6, Mr. Miller is going to be reset to today's the 11th, so it'll be July 18th
Thank you, Your Honor.
on the revocation calendar. 4 North, Mr. Miller's case will be addressed next Tuesday.
At that time, Mr. Miller, your brother will be on Zoom.
We appreciate you.
And I do beg your pardon. I believe this is positions
30, 31.
30 and 31.
Correct.
And with all due respect, Mr. McLean, does your client speak English?
Yes, he does.
Okay, good.
Your Honor, he's from Brooklyn. So we call that English, but
Shush.
might be a slightly different accent.
I don't know no Spanish, Your Honor.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I wish I did. Thank you.
I had summer jobs in New York City, Your Honor, so I kid people from the city.
All right. Well, as you can tell, I'm clearly from Brooklyn, so we are going to move on with both cases. This is State versus Demike Sanchez Calillo, case number 19 CR 007-337Y. That position 30, in which Mr. Sanchez Calillo is accused of criminal trespass from August 14th, 2019. And he's got a bench warrant under case number 23 FTA 0000279. The bench warrant case will be null pros or closed out if the plea hearing moves forward. Mr. Sanchez Calillo, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. May I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Egbe, what's the recommendation for Mr. Calillo?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months on probation, time served, balance suspended, and to stay away from the incident location. Your Honor, this is the Langdale Hall at Georgia State University. The request from the state would be just to stay away from the Georgia State campus entirely.
Well,
all right, Mr. McLean?
Right, it couldn't be much more simple, Your Honor. Time served, balance suspended, stay away from the campus. And he's willing to do that.
All right.
He asked the court to accept his negotiated plea of guilty, and he does stipulate to the 3 elements.
Thank you. Mr. Coelho, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
Have
I had some antibiotic yesterday.
Okay,
It was aid medicine, so
all right. But even after consuming it, are you able to understand the proceedings so far?
what does that mean, ma'am?
Do you understand what we're doing today?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
And are you entering this plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Really?
Well, let's see if you
Well,
do knowingly.
I really don't know what that means.
All right. If you decide to enter a guilty plea to criminal trespass at a Georgia State University property, you will have to give up your right to have a trial in this case. You will not be able to go back to court. You will not have the assistance of an attorney. You will not be able to challenge the state's evidence brought against you, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the case against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If you plead guilty today, the case will be closed out and your sentence will be complete and you'll be released within 24 hours.
I'm guilty.
Are you entering such a guilty plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Your sentence is time served. You'll be given, based on the jail time you've already served, that will be considered time served, and that would be your sentence. Any other additional time is suspended, and you are to stay away from all property that belongs to Georgia State University in downtown Atlanta. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I'll be getting out soon, ma'am?
Yes. Yes, you will.
Position 31 is going to be null prost. If the state can keep a running tally of all the cases that need to be null prost.
Yes, Your Honor,
Otherwise,
we'll provide those proposed orders to you.
Yes.
By the end of the calendar.
Oh, I know. I'm doing it for your concern, Mr. Agbe. I certainly don't want Miss Casey Strong to come after you. That's the last thing I would want, so.
Nor do I.
All right.
Also, what was the credit for time served for Mr. Sanchez?
I need to pull it up on Odyssey. And let me see.
Your Honor, according to our account, he's been in since March 27, 2023. That'd be a total of
I have 16 days.
16 days.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
it would be 12 months to serve, 32 days, credit for time served, 16 days, balance suspended.
Your Honor, position number 9,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clark. Position number 9, Mr. Clark.
You're getting out, stay away. Stay out of trouble. I'll get out 24 hours, probably.
Position,
Your Honor, this is a not guilty plea and I'll submit a waiver.
all right.
Calendar.
This is Christopher Clark at 4 North, case number 23 CR 001-901H. Mr. Clark, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say during the course of these proceedings, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Dodis, who is seated in courtroom 2. Mr. Dodis, if you could just wave your hand so that, all right, thank you. Mr. Clark, your attorney is going to file a waiver of arraignment, which means that we will accept your not guilty plea, and the case will be scheduled for trial. Based on this information, you may reach out to your attorney to ask him any follow-up questions. Presently, this case is further notice for jail jury. Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 34 and position number 35. Mr. Donald Sims.
Okay. This is State versus Donald Carlos Sims. He's got 2 cases before us. Position 35 is 21 CR 002-065E, in which he was accused of simple battery domestic violence from April 23rd, 2021. The second case, position 34, is a bench warrant 23 FTA 000283. Mr. Sims, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Michael McLean. Mr. Sims' position on 35 is going to be a negotiated plea. So Mr. Sims, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Agbe, what's the plea recommendation?
Thank you, Your Honor. There is a victim in this case. We would like to sound for her, Miss Ashley White, Miss Ashley White, or anyone connected to this case.
Ashley White, if you are present, you may unmute your screen and let me know if you want to contribute to these proceedings. All right, Mr. Agbe, please move forward.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months to serve, 30 days, credit for time served. He has, it appears he's done, as of today, he's done a total of, he's done 9 days, Your Honor, I think specifically. Balance probated, completion of a family violence intervention program, no further contact with the victim in this case, Miss Ashley White, and to stay away from the incident location, which is 204 Virginia Road in Sandy Springs.
And I'd like to ask, does the 9 days include the 3 days from 2021 or not?
That's what I was looking at. In 2021, he was confined for 3 days for simple battery, domestic violence. And then for the bench warrant, he was confined for 9 days. So Mr. Agbe, would you have any objection to to serve 30 days, credit for time served 12 days?
Not at all, Your Honor. If that's the accurate calculation, and I believe that is the case, Your Honor, that is no problem.
Now, Mr. Sims and I did discuss that it might not equal exactly 15 days and that there might be an extra day or two involved. So he understands.
All right.
Yeah, it's not going to be as bad as we thought. Oh,
He may have to serve an additional 2 days to complete his 30-day sentence.
correct.
Okay. Is that something, Mr. Sims, that you would like to accept, or we can reset the case for trial?
All right.
I can't understand. Yes or no?
Yeah.
That's a thumbs up, Your Honor, yeah,
Okay.
literally.
And Mr. Sims, I'm sorry, Mr. McLean, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID for position 35?
We do so stipulate, yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Sims, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
Is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to take this plea, you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court and have a trial. There will be no opportunity to confront your accuser or to challenge the witnesses brought against you, as well as the evidence that may be brought against you. You would also have to give up your right to have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to do so?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery domestic violence?
Guilty.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served, 9 days. You have 2 more additional days to serve at the jail, after which you'll be released if you have no other holds keeping you at the jail. You'll be placed on probation. While on probation, you will complete a 24-week domestic violence intervention program classes, and you shall also have no contact with Ashley White and to stay away from 204 Virginia Road in Sandy Springs, Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
And of course, Your Honor, we would ask the court to consider a financial break for him because that VIP class is kind of pricey.
Is he employed?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. What
I
is
will
it?
waive your probation fees for April and May, but you'll need to start paying from June 1st onwards.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Excuse me, and just to confirm, was this 9 days or 12 days?
Well,
Excuse me, you're correct. It's 12 days. I was just looking at the numbers I wrote down. I didn't add it up, sorry. It's to serve 30 days, credit for time served 12 days, 2 more days at the jail. Told you, Mr. Agbe, she's on top of it.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you don't want to mess with Ms. Strong. Okay. All right, in the courtroom 2, we can take the next case, please.
Position 43, Mr. Wyatt.
This is State versus Quintavious Wyatt, 23 CR 001-874B. These four charges arise from a March 27, 2023 incident: theft by shoplifting, giving false information to an officer, willful obstruction of an officer, and possession and use of drug-related objects. Mr. Wyatt you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Dotis. Mr. Dotis, are you filing a waiver?
Your Honor, this will actually be a change of announcement. My apologies, I didn't want to interrupt you. We will be going forward with a negotiated plea.
All right. Mr. Wyatt, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Agbe, do you have the plea offer ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, please proceed.
Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, the balance probated, completion of a theft awareness course, and to stay away from the incident location. In this case, it's 2655 Donnelly Howell Parkway, Northwest in Atlanta, Georgia. That's the Chevron.
That's my understanding, Your Honor. I believe that address is 2656, but I can double check just to make sure we have the right stay away address. We can confirm it. I have 2656 on the accusation, but if Mr. Agby has something else.
No, it 2656.
Okay.
That's fine. Yes, that's correct.
All right. Mr. Dotis, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We do so stipulate for the purpose of this plea, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Wyatt, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And has anyone forced you or induced you to take a plea today?
No.
In taking this plea, has it been explained to you that you would have to give up your right to go back to court and have a trial? There will be no chance to confront your accuser or examine witnesses. You will not have the assistance of counsel to challenge the state's evidence, present your own arguments, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes.
Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
How do you plead to one count of theft by shoplifting, giving false information to an officer, willful obstruction of an officer, and possession and use of drug-related objects?
Yes.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. This is a concurrent sentence for all four charges. You will be on probation to complete a theft awareness course. And once you have completed the class, I will put your probation on non-reporting. At all times, you cannot return to the Chevron at 2656 Donnelly Hollowell Parkway. Thank you.
Okay.
That's what Mr. Wyatt. Okay.
Next, Your Honor, we have Mr. Wilburn, Terrence Wilburn,
Okay.
and he's position number 41.
Yep. I have 41. Is that?
That's what I said, 41.
Oh,
And this will be, I did have a chance to speak to Mr. Wilburn, and this will be a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
all right. This is 21 CR 003-724F. Mr. Wilburn has been accused of a fray fighting from August 2nd, 2020. Mr. Wilburn, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. Dotis. And may I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Agbe, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served the 15 days, balance probated, a 6-week anger management course, and to have no further contact with the co-defendant in this case, Diamond Carter. I think that we had a stay away, Your Honor. We're not going to proceed on a stay away. This took place on a MARTA bus.
All right. Any suspensions for MARTA that you know of?
Your Honor, there was a suspension that was issued after the fact, but there was no active suspensions at the time of the incident.
All right. Mr. Dotis, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, I do stipulate.
Mr. Wilburn, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
Yes, ma'am. I'm in enough medicine.
All right. And even with that, are you able to understand everything that's going on today?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And has anyone forced you or induced you to take this plea offer today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to enter this plea, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial, to confront your accuser and examine witnesses, to challenge the state's evidence or present any defenses you may have, if you choose to do so, and also have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead guilt? How do you plead to one count of affray?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served, 15 days. If you have no other holds, you should be released within 24 hours. You'll be placed on probation to complete 6 weeks of anger management classes. You're also to have no contact with, I guess it was Dominic Carter. Would that be correct?
The Diamond.
Diamond Carter. Okay.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
Mr. Wilburn, you may use the MARTA facilities, trains, buses, and so forth, as long as there's no active suspension against you.
Okay.
All right. So I recommend that you check with MARTA headquarters. They are located on Lindbergh Drive. And just give them your name and date of birth and see if there's any active suspension. If there aren't any, then you can continue to use MARTA services.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good luck, sir.
And Your Honor, Mr. Wilburn has indicated that he will be struggling with housing upon his release. So we would ask this court to help him out with his probation fees by waiving a few months. And if there's no objection from the state, to switch him over to non-reporting status upon the 6-week anger management class completion.
Any objection to non-reporting?
None from the state, Your Honor. As soon as he completes his conditions, the state has no objection to him going on reporting.
I will waive his probation fees for April, May, and June.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 36, Mr. Jamari Smith.
And Mr. This is case 23 CR 002057E. Mr. Jamari Smith is represented by Mr. McLean, and Mr. Smith has been advised of his right to remain silent. He's accused of battery. And Mr. McLean, I've got a note here that he's entering a not guilty plea. Will you file a waiver of arraignment?
Your Honor, what we'd like to do is waive the formal reading of the accusation and have the court tell him that he'll come to court.
All right. Give me a minute. Mr. Jamari Smith, as indicated that you have been advised of your right to remain silent and your right to counsel. You are accused of battery as filed on April 4th, 2023, and the incident date appears to be April 1st, 2023. With regards to this case, you are legally presumed innocent of the charge, and upon your entry of a not guilty plea, the case will be scheduled for trial. At the time of the trial, the prosecutor has the complete burden to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If the state does prevail and carry its burden of proof and overcomes your legal presumption of innocence, you could be convicted and face a penalty of up to a year in prison and or up to $1,000 fine. Given this information, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
I'll accept your not guilty plea. The case has been arraigned and is going to be further notice for jail jury.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hey.
Big,
No, you need to relax. Stop all the cussing, man. Relax. Yo, stand over here. Stand over here.
Deputy, let me know when it's safe enough to move on. You can mute the screen.
It's safe enough, Your Honor.
All right. You may continue.
Can we go back to Mr. Darius Jenkins?
Okay.
And he was position, I think it's 16.
All right. Mr. Dotis, are you still representing him?
Yes, Your Honor. I was able to speak with my client and ASG Young, and this is going to be a negotiated plea.
All right. Mr. Jenkins, we are resuming your case 23 CR 001-825E. And you've already been advised of your rights to remain silent and to counsel. May I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge? Thank you. You may put your hand down. Mr. Young, what's the recommendation for the giving false name, obstruction, and possession of drug-related objects?
The recommendation in this case is 12 months, served 34 days, credit for time served, 17 days, with the balance probated, and for the accused to complete the Operation 21 Law and Decision Making course. And that will be for false info to a law enforcement officer. And then for the possession of drug paraphernalia, drug-related objects, and willful obstruction, 12 months probation to run concurrent to the false info to law enforcement officer.
All right. And this law and decision making program, is that one offered through probation, or does he have to go to a separate agency?
Your Honor, I am not entirely sure. Maybe one of my
Mr. Dotis, are you familiar with the program?
Your Honor, I wasn't familiar until today when I spoke with Attorney McLean on it. I'm not sure though on if it goes through probation.
JCS, Mrs. Thomas, are you familiar with the program? Is that program that your office is familiar with?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I wasn't listening. I do apologize.
That's all right. We have a defendant, Mr. Jenkins. As part of the plea offer, he's required to complete a Operation 21 Law and Decision Making course. I want to be sure that this is a program that's either offered through the probation office or you're familiar with it and you can refer him to the agency that conducts this course.
The probation officer will have all that information once he gets inside the office when he meet with the probation officer.
Okay, so you are familiar with that course then?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent.
Let me just add, Your Honor, I've had many clients complete their courses and they've been very satisfied with it.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Doris, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We do so stipulate to the 3 elements, Your Honor.
Mr. Jenkins, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood everything that's going on so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney, Mr. Dotis?
Yes, I am.
And has anyone forced you or induced you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to accept this offer and enter a guilty plea, you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court, to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the state's evidence, and have the state try to prove the 3 charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, I am.
How do you plead to one count of giving false name to a law enforcement or giving false information to a law enforcement officer, possession and use of drug-related objects, and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer?
Please, yes.
Your sentence for the possession and use of drug-related objects and willful obstruction is going to be 12 months probation to run concurrent to count 1. For count 1, your sentence is 12 months to serve 34 days, credit for time served 17 days. You'll be placed on probation to complete that law and decision-making class that we've confirmed is offered through probation. You will report to probation next week. And any objection to non-reporting if he completes the course?
Your Honor, my understanding with our conversations with Attorney Young was that probation would terminate upon completion of the program.
All right, in that case, unless there's any objection, Mr. Young, we will terminate probation upon completion of the law and decision-making course.
That's correct, Your Honor, no objection.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, Your Honor, can we go back to position number 7 again, Mr. Leighton Bernard?
Okay. Deputy, all the individuals who were brought in, I haven't read them their rights, so are we,
No, those are for misdemeanor, Your Honor. You doing misdemeanor today?
the C calendar?
See,
Yeah,
okay.
okay,
There's a little Spanish there.
I know. And I came back with a little bit of Brooklyn's. I'm so sorry. This was position number 7, Leighton Bernard. Yes, Mr. Dotis, what would we like to do?
I believe that there was an amended accusation, so this will be a negotiated plea. I'll let Mr. Young speak to that.
Your Honor, I filed an amended accusation for the defendant to plead to pleading to no license on person from the driving without a valid license. The plea rec, same terms, 12 months probation, $500 fine. I sent the no price orders for the speeding and the attempting to misrepresent tag to Ms. Strong.
All right, Mr. Dotis, we've already gone through the plea hearing process and I've already sentenced him to the $500 fine. Do you waive any objections to me modifying the sentence and applying it to the amended accusation of no license on person?
Yes, Your Honor, we waive any objection.
All right, we will substitute and the charge of driving while license suspended revoked is going to be amended to no license on person to be corrected on the disposition sheet that we will file in this case. The sentencing remains the same. Ms. Strong, is that all right?
Yes, I have it, Judge. And Mr. Young, you said you did or you will be sending an out-cross order?
He will be.
You're muted.
You're muted, Mr. Young?
Yes, I sent those before I sent the amended accusation, but I can resend them.
Oh, please, because I didn't receive them. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Bernal, your license will not be suspended.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Your Honor, that's all we have in courtroom 2.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other cases, any other location? Otherwise, we'll go over the calendar.
Your Honor, there was a one DV bench warrant position at 11.
Oh, that's right. Sorry about that.
It was Miss Farisha Paris, who I spoke with this weekend. She does not qualify for the services of the public defender, but she was aware of court today. So,
all right, let's see. Miss Farisha Gladys Paris.
Yes.
Are you present?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Miss Paris, this is case number 12 CR 380660 for a battery family violence incident from July 26, 2010. This case has been pending for a significant period of time. The last time, May 31st, 2012. Oh, no, hang on. Yeah. I just want to be sure. But before I begin on the history of the case, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. As you do not qualify for the public defender's office, you have a right to hire your own attorney, or you can choose to represent yourself. How would you like to proceed?
Represent myself.
And you understand that in representing yourself, that any legal decision you make that will be based on your knowledge and your research of the law and how it impacts your particular situation.
Yes.
All right. The accusation in this case was filed on February 6, 2012. It looks like there was a warrant for failure to appear issued on May 31st, 2012. A bench warrant, there was a failure to appear. A bench warrant was issued on June 4th, 2012. This case has remained dormant. The case was called back on April 3rd, 2023 to address the motion to set aside the bench warrant. Okay, Mr. Agbe, are you the prosecutor in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And since this is Ms. Paris's motion to set aside the bench warrant, Ms. Paris,
Yes.
why should I set aside the bench warrant?
So I moved back to Washington, DC right after I was released from jail. So in 2010, I don't even know what address a court date could have been sent to. I had no knowledge of it. When I moved back, I
No
spoke
knowledge,
to
I'm sorry. No knowledge of what?
the court date in 2012.
Did you have knowledge of what address was on file?
No, I still don't, because I just remember the street addresses that I was living at, but I have no idea what address is on file.
And had you filed a change of address in this case once you moved to DC?
No, I spoke to a prosecutor, and it wasn't this gentleman. It was a lady, and I do not remember it because it was so long ago. And they told me to complete anger management, and everything should be okay. And at that time, I had gave my information of where I was living, so I thought everything was clear.
To whom did you give this information?
I honestly don't have the name, Judge, because it was 13 years ago. I honestly do not remember the name. I really thought this case was over. I've been working and I have a child. I just found out about this because I did a fingerprint update for my job. And they told me that it was a warrant that I had, open warrant from January 30th of this year. I had no.
I'm sorry, we lost a connection. Okay. Is Miss Grace, is Miss Paris still on the Zoom?
No, Judge, I'm not showing her neither. I heard her and then she just went blank. Maybe
Okay,
there she goes. She's coming back on now.
Mhm. All right, Miss Paris, if you could start your video again.
My
All right.
apologies.
All right, so you gave your information to a prosecutor about change of address and everything.
Yeah, but it was in 2010, and that's when they told me to do an anger management class, and I completed it, and to send them my paperwork. So I did everything. I did that in 2010. I thought everything was cleared. I really didn't even know that I had anything going on until recently. That's why I immediately I took off work and I flew to Atlanta and changed the court date because I didn't know about this.
You're talking the phone, have a seat with the mask on. When you put the phone on the phone, you not hang it up, you're just gonna place it on the desk. Yeah. Pick it up.
You lose, Judge.
You got it.
All right, apologize about that. Mr. Agbe, we have received the bench warrant set aside for Ms. Paris. Do you have a response?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Paris, have you filled out since a change of address with the courts?
No, no.
Okay, and where are you living now?
I live in Maryland.
Your Honor, the state's only position would be that we would defer to the court. We understand that this case is a little long in the tooth, but it's the defendant's responsibility to maintain a current address with the courts. And from what Ms. Paris has explained, it seems that the court didn't make an error in this situation, that there was no error from the clerk or from the prosecutor in notifying. We had an address, and that was the only address that we had, and when we sent out notices for court, a court was missed. A person can't leave, and I can't speak to what prosecutors may have told the defendant 12 years ago. So we'll defer to the court's decision on this. We do object to a bench. Well, I'll leave it like that.
Y'all have a plea offer for this case?
Your Honor, I did not prepare a plea offer in this case.
All right.
I would, with her being unrepresented, we would like to discuss with her an opportunity. Maybe we can speak about going to a breakout room. But the idea was that we were going to speak to her representation today.
All right.
Your Honor, I'm sorry,
Yes,
just to interrupt very briefly. I've reviewed the jail paperwork from Ms. Paris's arrest, and it looks like someone reviewed her case for diversion. She signed her own bond and provided a address and was given, I believe, a future date.
Right.
But we can absolutely speak with her and try to resolve this case today.
All right. Ms. Paris, before I make a decision, I will set aside the bench warrant if once you've updated your address, and then I'll have to give you a new court date. But right now, I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak to the prosecutors. We're going to put you in a breakout room with whoever it is and see how you want to move forward with your case. Your failure to update your address in this case file is the reason why you never got the notices for the future court dates. And hence a bench warrant has been pending against you for the last 10 years. And lo and behold, when you apply for a job, that's when you discovered it, but the warrant doesn't go away.
I understand.
All right. So you have the absolute right to speak with the prosecutors to see if you can resolve this case and you can move on with your job. But in the meantime, before I do that, courtroom 2, do I have any other cases? No? Okay. So if there's nothing else, I'm just going to go over the calendar. And Mr. Agbe or Miss Allen, who would like to speak to Miss Paris in a breakout?
Honor, if you wouldn't mind putting us both in the breakout room.
All right, then Mr. Young will keep up with the calendar, wrap-up calendar, okay?
Judge, before they go into the breakout room, Ms. Paris, is it the Kennedy Street or Road that is the updated address?
Yes, 1218 Kennedy Street.
Thank you.
All right, I think she put it in a motion to set aside, so. All right.
I have it, Judge. I just wanted to make sure what was in the system was the correct address before you all went into the breakout room. Well, not you, but them. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Grace, if you could place ASG Agbe, Miss Helena Ellen, and Miss Felicia Paris in a breakout, please. Thank you.
Yes, Judge.
On the probation calendar, position 1 and 2 Hall is a medical hold or a medical reset?
Your Honor, after I was unable to meet with Mr. Hall due to being told he was in the medical unit. After learning more about Mr. Hall and his case, he is also on the main calendar, positions 11 through 15, and we would request for those positions for him to be set on the competency calendar. And I'll fill out paperwork for a mental health evaluation. I'm not sure how to address his probation positions. I don't know if those can be addressed at the competency calendar or.
Okay, positions 11 through 18 are going
11
to
through
be
15.
11 through 15, excuse me. For Mr. Hall are going to be reset to the competency calendar next Thursday. I don't know if you can get it that fast.
No. No.
Oh, yes, Miss Grace, when should I put it?
Let me check for you, Judge.
All right. Because I know we only do them on Thursdays.
Will he be doing a MH on that defendant, Judge?
I'm assuming, are you requesting an evaluation, Mr.
Yes,
Dolan?
yes, Your Honor, and I'll submit that paperwork.
All right, then
Okay.
we probably have to do it 2 to 6 weeks out.
Yes, I'm going into May right now, Judge. We can do May the 11th.
And we will handle his probation revocation. Miss Trina Garrison? Miss Trina Harris, sorry, not Garrison. I don't know why I said Garrison. I'm so sorry. Miss Trina Harris, yes. For Mr. Hall, how much more time does he have left on his probation?
He has 7 months and 29 days.
29 days? Is that what you said?
2 months, 29 days.
2 months and 29 days. Okay, we will address this probation revocation matter in May of whatever that date I just said. May 11th, 2023.
Judge Hall,
Yes, sir.
can we discuss this case in a breakout room?
Okay, that's fine. Let me go through the rest of the calendar then. All right, position 3 and 4 is been closed out. Position 5 and 6 is reset to the probation revocation calendar on July 18th. Position 7 and 8 have also been closed out. Would that be correct, Ms. Trina Harris? Okay. She's gone, so I assume I did everything correctly. Okay, position 1, Anderson was a plea. Position 2 was a plea. Position 3 was a plea. Position 4, Blocker was a plea. 5 was a plea. 6 is null prost. 7 is a plea to an amended accusation of no license on person. Position 8 is a plea. Position 9 is a waiver of arraignment to be filed and further notice for jail jury. Position 10, Jamal English.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd request a 1-week reset for Mr. English so I can have a social worker visit him.
All right, so that case is going to be reset to July 18th, SAP. Oh, that would be for Mr. Jamal English.
Judge, this is April.
What did I say? July? I'm so sorry. April 18th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. All right. Positions 11 through 15, we're going to address with in a breakout session. Position 16, Jenkins was a plea. 17, Marcos Johnson.
We have a note that was a DA transfer, Your Honor.
Okay, this case has been transferred to the Superior Court as a felony matter. Position 18 was a waiver of arraignment and a further notice for jail jury. Position 19 is, are you filing a waiver of arraignment? Yeah, we're filing a waiver of arraignment for that case as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Position 20 was a plea. Position 21 was released. Position 22 was a plea. Position 23, Perry was a plea. 24, 20 was Perry also was null prost. 25 was a plea. 26 was null prost. 27 is a plea. 28, Riddick is a plea. 29, Riddick, that particular case for Ms. Riddick is been a waiver of arraignment will be filed and the case is further notice for jail jury. Position 30 and 31, 30 was a plea, 32 was null prost. Position, 30 was a plea, 31 was null prost. 32, Skurlock was a plea, 33 was null prost. 34, Donald Sims was null prost. 35, Donald Sims is a plea. 36, Mr. Jamari Smith was arraigned and further notice for jail jury. 37, Jesse Jerome Smith Are you all filing a waiver of arraignment? Looks like he's been loaned out to Grady.
No, we haven't talked to him, Your Honor, so we don't feel comfortable doing the waiver. We'll figure out a way to get hold of him if he's ready.
All right, this is position 37. I have loaned out. So reset July 18th.
April 18th, Judge.
April 18th, you're right. In my world. Okay, but in your world, it's April 18th. Okay. 38 is Donna Thomas, and that was a negotiated plea. 39, Ms. Julia Tittle. Mr. McLean or Mr. Doties, any?
That's the waiver of arraignment. We said jury judge.
All right. This is going to be a waiver of arraignment, further notice for jail jury.
Yes, I said the paperwork. Yes.
Thank you. Position 40 has been reset at the deputy's request on behavior issues. So this is going to be reset to July 18th. Position 41, Wilburn was a plea. 42, Williams was a waiver of arraignment, further notice for jail jury. And position 43, Wyatt was a plea. Okay. Any questions about the SAP calendar? Any questions about the probation calendar? All right. Courtroom 2 is excused. Mr. Howard, you're excused. PDs are excused. Ms. Harris, you're excused.
And Judge Hall, for that breakout room that we're going to go to in a minute, I would request if I see that if Derek's still on, if Derek could join us for that breakout room, since it is regarding competency, if he has time.
Yeah, but do you have your own laptop?
I do have my own laptop, and I can step into another room, Your Honor.
Okay.
Please, Judge, put me in. I'm on the phone, Mr. Jordan now, but yes, you can put us in the breakout.
All right. Don't put me in the breakout yet. We can put the other folks, Mr. Doties, Mr. Howard. But in the meantime, yes, Mr. Agbe, with regards to Ms. Paris, how are we proceeding?
Your Honor, the state will be presenting the court consideration of null pros in the case after court. We just gotta confirm some things, and then the state will be presenting the court an order of null pros.
In the event you decide you're not going to present a null pros, what would be happening next?
Your Honor, what we're going to do is send a link for Ms. Paris to make a donation to the food bank here in Fulton County. It's actually part of a job that she, it's consistent with the job that she currently works. So in exchange for the $75 donation to the food bank here locally, we're going to dismiss this charge. And we've communicated that with her. I'm working on it now, and we'll submit a null pros order in just a few minutes.
All right. Go ahead and submit that proposed agreement and the agreement to null pros upon satisfaction of payment.
Absolutely.
And, that way we'll have it on file, so that if there's a non-compliance, we can follow up and know exactly what happened today.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Paris, make sure you maintain a current address, and make sure that you maintain communication with either Ms. Allen or Mr. Egbe to follow up, so that this case is closed and this is behind you, and it won't pop up in any more job applications.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. You're free to go.
Okay.
All right. All right, Ms. Grace.
Judge Law?
Yes.
We don't need the breakout room. I got all these cases now.
Okay, so are we going to reset it to May 11th, 2023?
That's fine, Judge.
All right. Y'all didn't catch me, but I said 2022 the first time around.
And you've been saying July, so we
In July. So. All right, folks, I will get my head straight about dates, probably this time next week. But for the rest of the week, y'all guys have a great time. So for some of you, I may see you this afternoon for the C calendar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All of you submit your null process and your proposed plea orders and so forth to Ms. Casey Strong. Otherwise, I'm going to let her free reign on you guys. Okay.
Already been submitted. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your grace today, Your Honor. We
Oh, you're so
appreciate
kind.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.